Hello, my fellow spooky babes. I hope that you're doing so well, especially on today of all days, because as you know, today is Friday the 13th. Well, it is as long as you're watching this video the day that it was posted, but if not, that's fine. Today is a Friday. Typically on this channel, I post on Mondays, but usually on Fridays, that's when I post either like physical media videos or my travel content on the second channel. But I was like, it's Friday the 13th. Like, I have to post a horror channel video. I think we had a Friday the 13th last year, and that was when I ranked all of the actors that have ever played Jason. This year, I decided to rank all the final girls and boys of the franchise. In the past, I did a live stream where I ranked all the girlies of the franchise, but I haven't really talked too much about the boys. And so today I've compiled a list of 20 survivors of the franchise. There might be a few obscure people that I'm missing. I feel like even some of the people that I included on my list are a bit obscure, but I might have forgotten somebody. Like, I don't know. There are more survivors, obviously, but I felt like 20 was a clean number. And I just have never been the girly to go to for like your Friday the 13th needs. Yes, I have posted an original versus remake deep dive. Yes, that was kind of how I started my channel about almost 5 years ago now, reviewing the whole franchise, but I'm not a super fan. I've only seen the entire franchise twice, I think. Some of the movies I've seen 3 times. I've seen the original movie like 5 times, and I love some of the movies in the franchise, but I just want you to know that this ranking is coming from a more casual fan. There are other horror franchises and other horror movies that I'm obsessed with that I've done crazy deep dives on, and I do that year round. If you enjoy celebrating the spooky season all year, if you have trouble saying goodbye to it, then I hope you stick around. Click the subscribe button, click the like button, the notification bell, that way you never miss the next video. If you do that, and if you're lucky, then I might let you join my little Antichrist cult. Last thing, very last thing before I get into the ranking, I'm sorry, but for any huge Friday the 13th people out there, I actually am selling something really special on my Poshmark, and I'm putting it on sale today in honor of Friday the 13th. This is a vintage promotional t-shirt for Freddy vs. Jason. It's a little bit weird because there is no graphic on it, but there is this little graphic here on the sleeve. It says Freddy vs. Jason. So I realize this one is a little less desirable considering there's no graphic, but it is genuine vintage, and this one I feel like is more for the real collectors out there. Poshmark is linked down below, but anyways, let's get on with this ranking. So at number 20, we have Taron from Jason X, and I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. This guy just doesn't do anything for me, okay? In fact, more often than not, he just makes me cringe. I feel like it's just all the girls around him that are handling everything for him. So I don't really pay him much mind. I didn't even want to put him on this list, but I was like, you know what? God damn it. He is on that ship with the girlies at the end. So here he is. There's your 10 seconds, Taron. Oh wait, I guess I think I have 21 people on this list, because at number 19, I actually combined Rennie Wickham and Sean from Jason Takes Manhattan Part 8. I combined them because literally I couldn't tell you a single thing about either of their characters. I'd forgotten their names actually. I last rewatched it almost 2 years ago, so maybe it's fair that I forgot their names. But I also haven't rewatched most of the franchise since 2022 because that was the last time I re-ranked it. And I could still remember Tina's name. I could still remember Tommy Jarvis's name. Well, those might be the only people whose names I could actually remember from the franchise, but like whatever. The thing about Rennie is just that she's so boring. The only defining characteristic they gave her character is just that her parents died. They threw in that lore to substitute literally a single personality trait. I hate when they do that. I hate the dead parent trope. It's just we see it too many times. But the reason why I put Rennie and Sean above Taron is because they went into a New York sewer. They did something that I don't even know if I would do were I trying to survive Jason Voorhees. If you're new here, I have this really weird recurring nightmare about public bathrooms. I've only ever met one person, my boyfriend's aunt, weirdly, that also has such a recurring nightmare. And hers wasn't even exactly similar to mine. Mine is always that like I have to go to the bathroom, I'm in public, I find a bathroom, but it's like super, super filthy, and also there's no privacy. Like the stall walls will be like waist high or something. The most recent one I had actually was a very interesting brand new variation. I was with this girl and we were like, I guess kind of in a club or something. We found this bathroom and then she went into the stall, and then somehow the stalls morphed into like she was sitting on the toilet, but then like next to her in the row was a bunch of people working at desks, and she was like, wait, I have to share my stall? And I was like, ooh girl, like get out of there, like let's find a different one. But it was filthy, and then so of course like I couldn't go to the bathroom in my dream. It happens a lot in real life. I'm not good with public bathrooms, but anyway, totally weird tangent, but just all of that to say that I do respect them for going into a New York sewer and just like running going through Manhattan with this guy on their tail, but almost everything that's memorable about that movie is not because of our final people. And I feel like the same can be said for the Friday the 13th remake. So at number 18, I have Whitney Miller. It's just because she's barely there. Like, Danielle Panabaker should have been our final girl. I am not saying anything brand new. In fact, I'm being monstrously repetitive, but it's true. Whitney does almost nothing. She is above the other three people that I've already mentioned because she does have the badass kind of final moment. Say hi to mommy. In hell! But she also has her brother there to help her with that. Like, it's, I don't know, she's kind of nothing to me. But also, is she a final girl? Because of the ending? Oh my god, am I off base on this? We don't see her die, right? I'm not from what I remember. Well, I guess that it's fitting that I put her brother ahead of her at number 17. Jared Padalecki, who plays Clay Miller. Here's the thing, okay, his character acted fairly honorably. He took matters into his own hands when the police wouldn't, and he was trying to track his sister down, and all of that is good stuff. He successfully saves his sister from Jason, sort of, not at the end there, but you know. But something about him rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if it's a bias that I have because it's Jared Padalecki or something, and I don't even know if he's done that much wrong in his life. I just remember he got kicked out of that bar one time or something. I don't know if that's what it is, if it's the performance or something. But he has always read as like a little bit insincere to me. He's always read a bit as like he has this sort of savior complex to him. And I don't enjoy men like that because I feel like they're the type to be like, I'm the nice guy. I don't trust the nice guy, okay? I don't like him. I feel like on paper, he definitely deserves to be a lot higher up on my list, but it's something about him. Something smells stank and I don't know what it is. Moving on to my number 16, we have Chris Higgins from Friday the 13th Part 3. She pulls some badass moves, all right? That is why she is ranked higher than the rest. She drops onto Jason from a beam. Most of the other girlies in this franchise don't do anything that bold when they're not holding a weapon. She also brains Jason with a shovel at one point, and then she hangs him. And now, is she successful with that? No, unfortunately not. And then after he kind of lets himself down, she just cowers there. She just has a lot of moments where I don't feel like she is the strongest character, and definitely not one of the strongest final girls. There might be something totally big with her that I'm misremembering because from what I remember, I feel like other people rank her at least middle tier on their lists, which I guess at number 16 out of 2021, that's like the bottom of the middle tier, I suppose. Also, Part 3 just has never really been a big favorite of mine, so maybe that also is kind of like a bias that I have. Hey guys, editing Kylie here. So I actually did forget a whole bunch of stuff that Chris did. The fact that she is a sexual assault survivor and she's coming to grips with that trauma while also dealing with Jason is pretty cool. Maybe not cool, but pretty badass. And also, as I was editing, I found some of these clips where she's doing some gnarly stuff, pulling a knife out of her dead friend and then also stabbing Jason. It's good stuff. So I apologize for forgetting all of this. Just for the sake of simplicity and not re-recording this entire video, I'm not gonna change her ranking right now. But I do think that she would be probably in my top 5 were I to rewatch the whole franchise. At number 15, we actually have Pam Roberts from Part 5, and I feel like she is a little bit underrated. I don't want to full out just say that like she's an underrated character because it's not that I think she's deserving of like super high praise or anything. I just think she gets unfairly shit on because the guy that she's up against is a Jason copycat and not actually Jason himself. Does that really invalidate all the struggles that she went through? Like, I just don't really see how it's that different. Also, she has Reggie to take care of. Like, she's fully trying to protect this little boy at the same time, and does so successfully, mind you, sort of. I do actually have Reggie right above her at number 14 because he is a child dealing with this crazy murderer person. And no, it's not Jason, but it's still this huge dude that's swinging a machete at them. I just don't think that invalidates their hardships. Reggie, I had to put above Pam because he's truly the one that saves the day. He is the one that throws himself in the middle of Pam and Jason, or I guess kind of pulls her out of the way, and then Jason falls or gets pushed by Reggie. I do think that Reggie was the one that kind of ultimately saved the day. I had to put him a little bit above Pam because in the final like clutch buzzer beater moment, it was Reggie, you know, that did the thing. Angela Bassett did the thing. But who do I have at lucky number 13 on my list of Friday the 13th final boys and girls? I have Steven from Jason Goes to Hell, and is this deserved? I just wanted to give the boys and girls from Jason Goes to Hell a little bit of love because that movie is so much better than it gets credit for. I do feel like there is a bit of a resurgence though of people that respect that movie more. It's just that like at the time that it came out, it was a massive disappointment because it was such a departure. But also like after Jason Takes Manhattan, can you just be thankful for what you get? Like whatever. But Steven and Jess have to deal with some freak shit. They are dealing with people that are possessed by, I don't know how to describe it, the spirit of Jason, the nasty Deadite-esque turd, the wet turd that possesses them. So they're watching this happen, they're having to deal with that, but honestly more than anything else, I think that Steven is hilarious. Jason Goes to Hell is hilarious, and I feel like the character of Steven is a big part of that. I really enjoy the performance, I enjoy a lot of the jokes.
You want me to cuff you? What makes you think you can? I got a gun. I got a gun.
And did I necessarily think that he was deserving of the number 13 spot on this very special list? No, but it is what it is. I almost wanted to switch him around with my number 12 just so that it would be a little bit more poetic, but I wasn't gonna lie. Because at number 12, I have Alice Hardy from the original Friday the 13th. Alice only made it up this high because she literally decapitated someone. She decapitated Miss Pamela, Miss Thing. That is so badass that I feel like it kind of negates the fact that she was throwing like yarn and pencils at her just a few minutes before that. Alice is so ridiculous. There are a lot of parts about that performance also that just make me laugh. I love the original movie. I have grown so fond of it over the years. Alice honestly is nothing spectacular herself, but it's the beheading. That's really all it is. I'm sorry, but that's all it is. Let's just move on to our number 11, where I have Rowan from Jason X. Now, Rowan is disrespected, okay? I don't understand why when I am doing my little research for this video and I'm looking up other people's rankings, why she is not even included on some of them, huh? I'm talking about articles that were released in like 2021. Jason X had existed for almost 20 years before that article was written, so why are we neglecting Rowan? I like her. I think that a lot of people argue that she doesn't really do that much in the movie. I disagree. She takes charge.
But if he's in here, he's gonna kill us. And quiet. One more sound, and I'll snap your neck myself.
And do I also want Lexa Doig to cover my mouth like that? That's not a question I'm gonna answer, but I'll let you imagine. Maybe she doesn't do a lot of the shooting herself, but she is the smartest one in the room. She's the smartest human in the room. I just frankly do not understand the disrespect. I also am quite fond of Jason X. It is in, I believe, my top third in my ranking of the franchise, but it's been a while since I've done that. Though I do think that it is worth pointing out that she is dealing with, what is he called? Mega Jason? That can't be right. Ultra Jason? Whatever, it's Kane Hodder. It's one of the most badass forms of Jason, and she survived it, so she's getting immortalized on Haunted Hippie's final girl list. Yes, she is. Anyway, let's move on to, we're in my top 10 now. At number 10, we have Will Rollins from Freddy vs. Jason. Initially, I had kind of forgotten about him, but then I went back and I was watching some clips from the franchise, and I was like, oh man, this boy actually went through a lot. He dealt with being locked up in a mental institution, being pumped full of drugs that he was not really consenting to taking, dealing with vicious orderlies, and then also having to deal with Freddy and Jason on top of that. Are you kidding me? I will just say that also at number 9, I have Laurie Campbell, also from Freddy vs. Jason. I put them right next to each other with her above because she had to deal with like a lot more harassment from Freddy than Will did. So I put her above because I feel like her, more than honestly anybody on this list just had the worst shit to deal with. She went through the absolute most, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put her above Will. They make a great explosion together in the end, but that kind of is the extent of how they become the final girl and boy. There is not the final showdown between final girl and boy and Jason and Freddy. It's Freddy versus Jason. Like, that's the title of the movie. That's what happens. That's the climax. They are a lot less involved than, you know, the people that are higher up on my list. But anybody that has to deal with Freddy, I'm just gonna respect them a lot more than most other final girls. Although that is not reflected in a ranking that I did a couple years ago where I ranked like my top 50 final girls of all time. That is not an accurate list anymore because I think that I put Nancy Thompson at like 44 or something stupid. She's like in my top 3, if not my number 1 now. Like, that list is insane. Tangents today, too many of them. Let's move on to my number 8. At number 8, I have KM14. Okay, is she a human being? No, but does that mean she's not deserving of being on this list? Also, no. I love KM14 as a character. I love that performance. It's so much fun. Not only does Jason get some upgrades in that movie, but so does she. She's like this badass weapon of mass destruction and she handles shit. She also gets out of there alive with just her head. Is that not iconic? If you say that it's not, you're lying.
I'd clap if I could.
I think she also probably has like the best dialogue in that movie. And do I like Sunaron? No, I put him in dead last because, like, why are you in love with the robot? Because she's cool, she's fun, she's badass, I like her a lot. And it's not her fault that she's a robot. She didn't build herself, so I do not punish her for their weird ass little relationship. But because she's not human and because she could survive the movie literally with only her head, I was like, okay, all right, I'm not gonna put her in like my top 5. I'll put quite a few humans above her. So let's move on to my number 7. We have Jessica Kimball from Jason Goes to Hell. I think she is such a fun character who again has some really fun lines. She is the type of girly, whether she's facing Jason or she's facing an annoying human, she just handles things.
Hey now, baby, watch your language. Fuck you!
She gets down to business and delivers some iconic dialogue along the way. I also feel like she has one of the most badass climaxes with Jason of the franchise. She literally like ninja jumps from behind him and stabs him with a sword. That is so cool. Like, why does Jason Goes to Hell get so much hate? And I won't repeat myself with all the stuff she had to deal with because I already mentioned that with Steven, but the possessed people, disgusting. Some of that might have granted her a spot higher on this list, but I felt like I could tally up more badass moments from the people that I've listed above her. Moving on to my number 6, we have Trish Jarvis from the final chapter, part 4. Trish Jarvis also is somebody that I noticed on a lot of other people's rankings. She would be very, very low, and I can't understand why. Like, yes, did she just kind of stand there while her friend was yelling, he's killing me, he's killing me? Or were they friends? Or were their storylines just converged? I can't remember. But also, one of my favorite things that happens in that movie, like the entire thing, is that she swings Jason's own machete at him. There is no fear in her eyes. Like, she is just determined to save her little brother, and she's like, I'll give you something to remember us by. Like, yes, get it. If you couldn't tell, I have a real soft spot for the girlies in the franchise that are protecting children. It's very much giving like Laurie Strode, you know? Trish, I feel like, goes a little bit feral at times in the movie, and I just really respect that. It's all in an effort to save her little brother and herself. And I would probably say that I prefer the personality of Trish over my number 5 pick, actually. But my number 5 would be Tina Shepard. The thing is, though, I can't fault Tina that much because the girl was traumatized, you know? She's had it really rough, and then also still at this point in her life, she's getting bullied. So I don't want to pile on to that. Tina's been through it, but I do like Trisha's personality better. But the thing is, though, I am the new blood believer. I'm a new blood truther, if you will. I still love Tina. I love her powers. I love Carrie versus Jason. I love the whole concept. That movie also, I think, is like in my top 3 of the franchise. If not top 3, then like top 5. That whole third act, I'm obsessed with it. And also that movie gave us Kane Hodder, but it's not about him right now. Tina is awesome. I love everything that she does to Jason. I just couldn't put her any higher because it's not like she does most of that physically with her hands. She's not actually like physically fighting for her life. She is doing so mentally. So if you couldn't tell, I just tend to rank also based on just what these poor girls have been through. That sort of dictates how much I favor them as a final girl. Like, what did you go through, you know? know? Ooh, guess why Editing Kylie is back again? Because you probably noticed that I just talked about Tina and I completely forgot that Nick survived this movie. I knew that I would be back again. I told you guys, I haven't rewatched the franchise in its entirety for 2 years, so some of these people were bound to slip through the cracks. And I don't think that Nick is unmemorable. I actually really like him. He probably would have been like middle tier for me. The thing is, Tina is just so awesome and memorable in this movie that she totally overshadows him. I forgot, and I'm so sorry, Nick. Okay, back to the video. My number 4 pick is actually from Never Hike Alone, which is a fan-made Friday the 13th film. There are several of those out now, but the ones that involve Kyle are Never Hike Alone and Never Hike Alone 2. He's just really fun. I just really enjoy his presence on screen, and am I biased because I have met Drew, the actor? Yeah, probably. If you didn't know, I shot the BTS for one of the shooting weekends on Never Hike Alone 2, and he's just really cool on and off camera. I love the concept of his character, and also I just think it's really admirable that he was dealing with all of this on his own. He went up to the lake all by himself. The character, not the actor, to clarify, but the character was dealing with this all on his own. And then eventually Never Hike Alone 2, I love his dynamic with Tommy Jarvis because they do team up. He's one where I can't even point to a specific moment. I just find him deeply likable. You'll notice the same goes for my number 2 pick, but it's a little bit of a different stroke for my number 3. And at number 3, I have Ginny from part 2. I feel like she is everyone's favorite. Like, she is the girly that gets ranked on top. And that's just because she is so smart. I'm not really gonna add anything to the conversation here, so I don't want to go on too long about her. She just kind of has everything going for her. I think that she just is a nice, likable character, and I think is the only girl in the franchise that used, I was gonna say her mind, but then like Tina did the same thing. But I mean psychologically, like she is the only one that outsmarted Jason, if you will. Like he's not super smart, but she didn't use brawn. She didn't have any brawn to like fight him off. She just used her wit, which I think makes her super unique in this franchise. But I'm sure that I am the 10,000th person to say that, so let's move on to my number 2. And my number 2 is Megan Garris from Jason Lives. Oh, I just love this girl so much. This one is hard to explain because if I could tally it up, I don't know that she necessarily has more moments than the people I've already mentioned. I just really like her as a character. And you could maybe boil all of it down to just this moment.
Don't clown around.
I'm not the one with the funny red nose. Now open the cell and let him out.
Pointing a gun at a cop and making fun of him at the same time, and you want me not to be in love with her? You bang. I feel like she and Tommy have pretty equal parts in the climax of that movie. She did kind of have to be saved by Tommy a little bit in the ending there, but then she saved him. Enough rambling about that girl because you already probably have deduced my number 1, but that is Tommy Jarvis. Honestly, it's just because he is one of the most notable characters of the entire franchise, so it's almost kind of unfair to be stacking everybody else up against him because he has become, I suppose, like the main character of this franchise. When you put Jason to the side and you look at like all the protagonists and stuff, he is the guy. Like Tommy Jarvis is the guy. So I don't know if it's really fair, but that's just also how I feel. Like he also just is my favorite amongst all the final girls and boys, both when he is a child and shaves his head and taunts Jason. That is so badass from such a young age, you know, props to him. It's a little weird in part 5. I kind of neglect to think of that movie when I think of Tommy Jarvis, honestly, because it doesn't feel like him. And then also the actor changed. Now and forever, I think we associate Tommy Jarvis with Tom Matthews, as we should, who I didn't get to talk too much, but also nice guy. Got to take his picture a lot. He really makes the character for me, and also it might just be like the writing of Jason Lives, but much like Megan, I think the character of Tommy is also just hilarious in the movie.
So wherever the red dot goes, you bang.
Jason Lives is probably my favorite of the franchise, if you couldn't tell, and it's largely due to the fact that these 2 leads are just so incredibly likable. The main thing about them is that they're just fun. I love that Tommy is also willing to self-sacrifice for Megan. What a man. And then his whole arc is really interesting in the Never Hike Alone movies. Tom Matthews comes back, and it's very much giving Halloween 2018, except that they did it first with Never Hike Alone. Okay, that came out in 2017. I enjoy Tommy's commitment to getting this menace out of their lives. I so wish that the character of Megan could have come back for Never Hike Alone. I don't know why she didn't, but Tommy, just as the longest running character of the franchise, kind of by default, default, he is my favorite. I'm really curious about your ranking. I don't know if you would include necessarily all of the characters that I did. I'm really curious at least about like your top 10 if you want to share that with me, but share whatever in the comments down below. I have a lot of other Friday the 13th content on this channel, as well as Halloween content and Nightmare on Elm Street content, Scream content especially, and other modern movie reviews and rankings and all that kind of good stuff. But if you also are a big fan of physical media, if you couldn't tell, I've got quite a bit behind me here. I have a second channel that is mostly dedicated to physical media, but I also post travel content over there, and it's just a hobby channel. I also have a Patreon. The patrons keep both of my channels afloat on YouTube. We love them so much. There is a ton of bonus content offered over there. Go check out all the different tiers. And then if you want to follow me on social media, and also be sure to check out my Poshmark, everything that you need is linked down below. You can get your hands on this genuine Freddy vs. Jason promotional t-shirt if you so desire. But more than anything, I just hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye.